what's going on, guys? This is Bama Jaybird Resell. I'm Josh. It's good to be back with you today. Another What Sold video, and also going to be looking at the topic of how to increase sales on eBay. I'm no expert by any means. I don't claim to be, and some of these thoughts may be things that you've heard before, but for those that may be investigating the thought of reselling for the first time, or maybe just needing reminded of what you need to be doing, hopefully this will help you some. So let's get started with some of the items that have sold the last few days. This first item, this is a set of suspenders. They're made by Perry. They're called the original Perry. These are made in the USA. These are the kind that clip onto your belt. Very nice suspenders. These are basically brand new in a navy blue. I picked these up at a local thrift store called America's Thrift Store, and I paid $4 for them, and I sold them for $12, $11.99 plus shipping. All right, this next item is a part from that G.I. Joe purchase. In my previous videos, I've mentioned this. I had 20 G.I. Joes. Several of them were vintage. Half from the 80s, a few from the 90s. And anyway, I have already sold the G.I. Joes. I paid $100 for everything. I sold the G.I. Joes as a lot for $120. So I basically about got my money back on those. I've been selling off and parting out the rest of the items and making profit. And this is a radar dish that goes on the tactical battle platform, again from 1985 G.I. Joe. This sold for $11.99 plus shipping, and basically I have nothing in it at this point because I've already made my money back. Now the next item on the list, I have a North Face t-shirt. This says North Face t-shirt, and it is kind of like the baseball tee. These are the t-shirts that have kind of like the 3/4 sleeve. I sold this for $13. I gave $4 for this at my local thrift shop. Hey guys, what's up? Just want to cut in real quick and say don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment. Ask questions, let me know what you think about what I'm doing. Give me some pointers on how I can improve. If you have some thoughts or questions about anything that I've talked about today, then please feel free to include those as well. Let's do one more and then we'll start talking about our topic a little bit. This next item came from a very large bulk purchase from a couple of brothers who had a large amount of Nintendo gear from when they were growing up. They were in their 30s and they still had their Nintendo 64s, their Game Boy Colors, tons of games, all kinds of accessories. This is a Nintendo 64 OEM or original equipment transfer pack. This is the Game Boy adapter. This allows you to play Game Boy games on the Nintendo 64. It sold for $13.99, and I'm not sure where I stand at the moment on getting my money back and being in the profit on this. I think I'm getting close to profit. I've got another sale from that same lot on this same video. It's going to be my best sale near the end. But to move on to our topic for today, which is how to increase sales. I would start with, it's really important to list. You got to list often and you got to list consistently. You hear a lot of resellers talking about setting listing goals, and they'll put up like a listing calendar and track themselves to hold themselves accountable to list a certain number of items a day. I would like to say that I'm listing 10 items a day. Some days I hit that mark, some days I don't. But I have found that the more consistently I list, then the more consistently I sell. The algorithm tends to pick me up, I think, more often than not. And I sell not only new items that I'm listing, but I also will see older merchandise begin to also get eyes on it and therefore get sales from that. So I do think it's really important to list often and to list consistently. New items in your store generally equals not only new eyes on those items, but oftentimes new eyes on other items in your eBay store, which can lead to sales that you might think were unexpected. Number two, in increasing sales, I would say there's a lot of conflicting thoughts amongst resellers regarding this, but I am a big believer in sending and accepting offers. I keep offers turned on everything that I list. Some don't like to mess with lowball offers, and I get a lot of that. And you know, I've learned that in some cases it's best just to ignore them altogether. My reply may just be declined and just move on, because generally if someone lowballs me, very often, even if I counter back, they don't come up but $1 or so. So I've learned that that's generally a waste of my time. But for every one of those low ball offers I get, I probably get 2 or 3 that are reasonable, you know, even if I choose not to accept it. And then I'll also, for every one of those, I'll get at least 1 or 2 offers that are just a couple of bucks less than what I'm asking. So if I've got, you know, $27.99 on something and someone offers me $25, I'm going to take that. I mean, it's $3 less than what I'm asking, and I'm not going to, you know, split hairs over $3. I try to treat it as if, you know, this is kind of like, it is an online marketplace, but to me, it's almost like, you know, being at a flea market. You know, there's a chance to barter some, except it's all done online, and I like that aspect of it. So again, number 2 would be to send and accept offers. Now, you do have to know your margins when you do this. You got to have some amount of understanding or memory as to what you have in your items. A lot of people govern this by making sure that when they're buying, that they keep that price per item for the overall trip down. So even if they pay up for something, they pay, you know, lower than that for other things, and so their average cost per good, you know, they keep it under a certain amount, say under $5 or less, or $7 or less. So they always know kind of where they need to land to make sure they don't lose money. So I think that's really important as well. So know your margins and be willing to move inventory. I think sometimes just moving inventory matters. It helps in the algorithm if it identifies and tracks that you're selling and moving goods. That helps lead to other sales, because I really think that helps you in search results. I don't have any proof of that. I just feel like, based on my experience, that sales lead to sales. And when you go stale on sales, it tends to slow down even more so in the days that follow. So, all right, moving on to our next item that sold. So this next item is a hat. So I gathered everything up before I started the video so that I wouldn't be having to pull the items while talking about them, because I wanted to focus on the topic. I would love to carry you through the pulling of the items, that part of the process as well, and hopefully I will do that again in later videos. But right now, while I'm still working out of my house, I've got items in multiple locations in the house, and it's just a lot of trouble, a lot of stopping, and a lot of restarting, recording in different rooms. And so hopefully before long, I'll get my eBay space finished. And if you've watched some of the videos that I'm doing that I'm calling A Place for Mom, I'm building a little mother-in-law like suite, but it's for my mother. That's detached from our house. She has dementia, and as part of that, I'm also building on a new room for my eBay that's going to be devoted only to eBay. So when I get everything moved in there, it'll be a lot easier to do the videos. I'll have a lot better looking background. Everything will be a lot better. But this hat, so here you go. This is a Cobra. This is by New Era. New Era. This is a Cobra golf hat. It has the removable token for marking your place on the green, which I thought that was pretty cool that was still there, even though it's a used hat. It's very clean, very nice hat. Let's see, I gave $2 for that and sold it for $16 plus shipping. All right, next item. This is a Prana t-shirt. So if you're not familiar with this brand, P-R-A-N-A, Prana, it's a very, it's a higher end brand, similar to Patagonia. They have a lot of outdoors related, you know, pants, shirts, things like that. This is just a t-shirt, but it's good for resale because the brand is a very, it's kind of an in-style brand right now. And so Prana is a really good one to look out for. This is an extra large men's t-shirt in red. I gave $6 for this, actually thinking that I might keep it myself. I didn't really like the way that it fit, even though it's an extra large, which is what I typically buy. Just not the way it felt when I put it on, so I decided to list it. I sold this for $17. I had it listed for $19.99 for 20 bucks, basically. I took an offer of $17 on it. Next item, a DVD, but this is of a concert. It's from the series called Little Features, Pioneer Artist, Rockplast. And I listed this. This is out of that buy that I made of all the CDs. I also had a few DVDs mixed in. And so I'm really excited about this because this CD sold for $19.99 plus shipping. I gave $30 for the entire lot. So that almost gets my money back by itself. The next item on the list of what sold, again, 13 items total. And this is the 8th one that we're getting to here. This is a pair of Duluth Flex Fire Hose pants. So these are the really, really heavy cargo style pants, but they are made of that heavy canvas. Super nice. Duluth is a good company to watch out for. Their items I don't feel like are selling for as much as they were on the resale market. They seem to have the market seems to be a little more flooded, but it still sells good. It's probably on par with Carhartt quite a bit. It all depends on what the item is. Some items carry more value than others. I do sell a decent amount of Duluth, but this particular pair of pants is a size 40-30, which is a decent size. I did take an offer on these. These were listed at $19.99. I took an offer of $16 on these, and I had about $6 in them. So, I still doubled my money. And I've said this before, to me, moving inventory is really important. If I'm making my money back plus another $6, and I'm able to go buy new items that I can turn over quickly, and I'm trying to make smarter buys, then I feel like I'm doing more good than holding on to something, trying to squeeze an extra $2 out of it. It's not like it's a $300 item that I'm getting a low ball offer on. Okay, back to our topic, a couple more things. So there's a lot of debate within the reselling community about promotions and whether they are necessary, whether or not they work. I watch a lot of reseller videos and follow and subscribe to several resellers, and I hear a lot of opinions about this. Some believe that it's important to always promote. Some promote their entire store at a certain percentage. I seen one the other day that maybe I should just say a reseller that I watched the other day said they use a 2% store-wide promotion. That might be safer. But for sure, that's what they had said. And I've heard others say that they promote some items, they don't others, or maybe they wait till it's been in the store for a certain amount of time and then they add a promotion to it. All promotions are really supposed to do is help push your item closer to the top of a listing. Another piece of advice that you will often hear is that if it is an item, say like this next one that we'll be looking at, for instance, like a pair of Levi's, where they have they sell a lot of Levi's sell, but there are often way more of them available than there are sold. So the sell-through is not extremely high. But you can move your Levi's, but you have to make sure yours are getting seen. So promotions become much more important on items like that so that your piece of inventory finds its way closer to the top for those that are looking for it. I tend to go around the idea of promotions because ultimately, like I said on a previous video, I feel like all these other tactics to get eyes on your items that cost you money, in the end, you just are essentially lowering your price because that's more that it's costing you to sell it. So I don't see the point. In my mind, I do some promoting. Don't get me wrong, and especially when things have lingered in the store for a long time. But initially, my first goal is to price competitively. I don't want to price at the very bottom of the market on any item. And there are some few items that I will shoot for, the top, 5 to 10% of the market. But on something like a pair of Levi's, look, unless it's something vintage and something hard to find, I'm going to shoot for a price that I know will help it move as long as I'm making money. Again, know your margins. And I think to me, that's a good way to promote your items and make sure that for those smart buyers out there, and I'm not calling some buyers dumb, but some people just know what they want and they don't care what it costs. But for those that are cost conscious like I am, that always sort listings for, the lowest price to the highest price, then it helps to get your item. Yours is going to wind up closer to the top in many cases. Though I've heard some say that sometimes when they go outside of their account and search, that even doing some of those things like narrowing the search or sorting it a certain way, theirs fails to come up or to appear where they think it should. Anyway, next item on the list, this is a pair of Levi's, ironically. Levi's 501 CT, which means custom taper. Now, I wound up taking an offer on these as well. I'd had them not too awfully long, probably a month. Maybe they've been listed. I'd had a lot of interest, but I sent a lot of offers and not got much traction. So I got an offer of $16 on these and decided to take it. Only had $2.50 in them, so $16 plus shipping. Next on our list of advice for how to increase sales, this would be number 4. So number 4, take good photographs. Now, look, if you go to my store, you're probably going to laugh at some of my items because I've got older items on there from when I first started reselling on eBay that the photographs honestly are not great. I'm actually in the process of going back and kind of revamping some of my early listings. Some of them I'm going to do new photographs for. I did not have a good photograph setup, nor did I have a good light when I first started, but I wanted to get started. And so I wanted to earn the money on eBay that I was using to buy the equipment and the things that I needed in order to, make things better. So I wanted to make eBay pay for the items that I was using to make my business better. And therefore I had to start with what I had, and I didn't have a lot to work with at the beginning. So I'm working on that. But I feel like recently I've really focused on having a white neutral background. I focused on trying to get more lay flat photos for my clothing. The background eliminator that is used by eBay, that tool, that AI tool, is actually pretty good. It used to not be as good, but in the updates, it's gotten much better. So I do use that from time to time to give it that very bright. There's something about that bright white background that really captures attention a little better. I know people have different styles. Some use like a neutral light gray or wood look, things like that. And I think some of those are good, but eBay still recommends a white background as the #1 way to help, especially with photographic type searches. And that's just their recommended way of doing things. So I'm kind of going that route right now, though I am thinking of building a background when I get in my new space that I can use. Now, that being said, good photographs are so important, and picking a good photograph to lead with on your ad, the thumbnail part, the one that they see, is also very important. Those thumbs, or those little squares that they see, are basically like a 1:1, so or 1-to-1 ratio. So that's a good setting to use if you're using your phone or your camera to take the photo that you're going to use for that. I don't always defer to that for the one that's going to be visible if I think another photo is better, but I have found that those tend, because they fill up the space, you get a more accurate view. And also think about things like if it's clothing, like, what would make your item stand out? How could you pose it? How could you fold it? How could you position it? What part of if it's a cool t-shirt, maybe focus on the graphic, but photos matter. The lighting in the photos matters. So good lighting so that you have good photographs. And I like Dad Planet. I watch his channel a good bit, and he always is saying that, on his items, he wants to out photograph everybody. And I think that's a cool point that he makes. And truly, in order to get your item to look better, sometimes a person's willing to pay a couple more bucks if it looks better. All right. So we have 2 more topics, and I have 4 more items. Sorry, 4 more items, 3 more topics. Let's do 2 items, then we'll do another part of the topic. So this next item, this I've had for a while. This is a vintage Reebok pullover windbreaker. It is New York Yankees. It's really awesome. It is a 2XL, which is a fantastic size, one of the best sizes you can find. I paid about $5 for this at a yard sale. It's been probably 2 years ago, and I just took an offer of $27. Now, I'm not upset about that because I've lowered the price so much. I've had it for a while. I wanted to move it. So 5 into 27 plus buyer pay shipping, and that's out the door. So that's one of my better sales for this week, though I do have a couple. These last 3 are, not huge money. I mean, look, I was watching the new video from Grams and Pops Vintage, and they had a couple of just hugely awesome sales. I mean, it was incredible. So kudos to them for the good finds and the good sales, and it's what we're all searching for. But on a day-to-day basis, we don't always have those huge $500 or $1,000 sales. We have something like that once in a while. But what we do have is a lot of bread and butter sales, and then we have a lot of these sales that come through that are in that $50, $60, $80 range, and maybe a little over $100. Those are the ones that really keep us going. So that said, next item on the list is a pair of vintage Levi's. These are Levi's 965. These are women's Levi's. They are wide leg, loose fit. These would be like that 90s skate grunge like look. You'll notice they have a white tab, which is something a little different. And these are the ones with the small numbers, 10965. So just a really cool. So again, wide leg, they're medium length, and I think they're 13. Made in USA, awesome pair of pants, fantastic condition. I actually had these listed up at when I started around 75, I think it was. I wound up taking an offer on these of $50. So I spent $2.50 at my local thrift store for these, and I turned that into a $50 sale on a pair of vintage Levi's. So I'm excited about that. I think that's a fantastic sale. Now, the next piece of advice. So we've covered the first four. Number 5, I would say your titles. When people are searching, and I struggle with this to start with, and I still sometimes have difficulty coming up with a good title. So, but think of it this way. It's very easy to get caught in this trap of wanting to have a nice flowy title that makes a lot of sense, and it's like it reads more like a description, but that's not necessarily the best way to go. What you want to make sure that your title does have is the main keywords that you think someone might be searching in order to find that item if it's what they're looking for. And so you want to lead with things like the brand, lead with the brand name, whatever it is. Make sure that you have, if it's clothes, that you have the size, that you have maybe the color. Like for my jeans, I always give the waist and length. I think that's important, whether it's men's or women's. That's something people are interested in. Avoid things like putting unnecessary characters, unnecessary spaces. I've learned in my searches that I do to do comps that it often doesn't matter, if you have a comma or a bracket or those types of things are just wasted characters. So take good advantage of the character spaces you have in the title. Forget emojis. If anything, it makes it harder for people to find your items. You want good, clear, clean titles that have your best search terms to the front and use all the characters that you can. So put as many searchable ideas and terms in as possible. For instance, that pair of wide leg Levi's that I sold, I would put, of course, I would start with Levi's. I would go then to the designation, the 965, and then I would follow that by saying maybe wide leg, and then I might do 90s. From there, I may go to the 13 medium. I also had the actual waist and length measurement, but other things that could be included, USA, because a lot of people are looking for made in USA. So you could put USA, you could put skate or skater, or you could put grunge or baggy. There's lots of descriptors that you can use for that, and there's plenty of others, but those are things that people are looking for. Those are words that they will use. They might say skate jeans, or baggy jeans, then put in a size, a 13, and so yours may come up because of that. So make sure that you're using really good titles that are accurate. Also in your titles, if you include measurements in the title, make sure they're accurate. And I'll back up briefly to the pictures. On the pictures, people do this different ways. I tend to lay a yardstick down along my items of clothing to measure things like sleeve length, chest width, inseam, waist, those types of things. But you can also, a lot of people will use like a sheet of paper that they make copies of or a dry erase board, and they will take their measurements and fill them in. And then they take a picture of that and post it. But make sure you have measurements and make sure those measurements are accurate, whether it's in a picture or it's in the title or even in the description. That's also important. And I guess as part of that title, because the description to me is an extension of the title, make sure your descriptions are accurate and that you disclose anything that's going on with your item. If it's got any defects or if it's got any qualities that you could not include in the title that you think are pertinent, make sure those are also included. All right. So I'm going to show you the last, I'm going to show you one more item, and then I'm going to finish the last topic, and our part of our topic, the last piece of advice, and then we'll do our last item of the day, our biggest sale of today. So next item on the list of sales, most all of you that are resellers and sell a variety of items, especially if you're a shoe salesman, you know about Allen Edmonds. So these are a pair of Allen Edmonds McAllister. They're wingtips. These are the oxblood color. I mean, they're super nice. I did notice on these they had a little bit of separation in some places along the soles. They're not coming apart. I mean, I checked them really well as far as like coming off. I think it's just the leather just bowed a little bit. They're probably not, even though they look new, they probably have been around setting for a while. I disclosed all that in the description. I explained it. I gave good photographs of that, but these were still a great pair of shoes. Some of these in this condition have sold for upwards of $100 or more, but I knew that I needed to price mine down a little bit because of that, and that's what I did. So I listed them for $75. But I took an offer. These have only been listed for less than a week. I think about 3 to 5 days since I listed these. And I got an offer of $68 and I accepted that. So only $7 less than my listing price. And I got these on sale at my favorite thrift shop. It's in Northport, not far from here. Just a local community thrift shop. And they've been running their shoes 75% off, and they've still putting new shoes out. And so I got these for like $7.50, sold them for $68. So fantastic profit there. All right, last piece of advice on how to increase eBay sales. So I would say it's really important to source quality items. If you want to have good sales and a good rate of sales in your eBay store, you got to have items that people want. Now, look, am I going to pass something up that has a huge profit margin but a slow sell through that I might have to sit on the shelf for a while to sell? No, I do that. I buy those types of items. But I know that a good volume of what I buy needs to be items that are going to get out the door more quickly. So I pay attention to sell-through rates, and I try to find items that are going to have a higher return on the sale. Now, you may say, well, you sure sell a lot of low-dollar items. Well, I do sell a lot of lower-dollar items. My average cost, or my average sale price that I've been calculating here lately and paying attention to is generally always over $30, somewhere between $30 and $40. So I sell enough higher end goods that it kind of comes out in the wash. But even when I'm selling something for a lower price, I have a very good margin. I have a very low dollar amount in them oftentimes. So I mean, if I'm giving $2 or $2.50 for something, selling it for $15 or $20, I'm still making a high percentage of profit off of my investment. And so to me, that is a high return. I may have to combine 3 of those items to see, say, $7.50 be $60. But that's the thing. I got a pair of shoes today that I paid $7.50 for and sold for $68. But I could very easily combine 3 of the items that I sold for like $20 or less, right? And have almost $60 in sales for about $7 in purchase price, which is something anybody would do. So they add up and they do work to help the store. All right, so the last item on our list of what sold. This is another Game Boy game. This is my second copy of Pokemon Crystal. This is one of the most demanded or in-demand Pokemon games on Game Boy Color. I got an offer of $140 for this, and I debated a little bit because I know that they will sell for what I had the other one priced at. But as I've been saying, moving inventory is important, and I know my margins. This is from my big buy of Nintendo stuff from those 2 brothers, and so this is another $140 sale out of that. So between the 2 Pokemon Crystal games, and I've still got Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, just to name a few of them. Okay, along with some of the Nintendo 64 versions of those games, and I've priced them all near the top of the market because I wanted to give them a chance to see if I could pull a few sales like that last Crystal Pokemon game and get a full price for it, full asking, and I have on a few. Now I'm at the point now I'm going to start lowering those prices a little bit so that I kind of get down into the middle of the market. But, just the 2 Pokemon games, $300 back of my $800. So I know that I am probably well over halfway there. I've sold several 64 games as well. All right, so it's been good talking with you today. Hope you got something out of the video. Enjoy this. I hope that you do. Please, if you haven't already, then take the time to like, subscribe, drop a comment. Click that notification bell. I'd really love for you to be a part of what I'm doing on a regular basis and keep up with my videos and interact with you more. If you got questions, please ask questions. I would love to have some input. If you got criticisms, I'll take that too because I want to get better at what I'm doing. And I definitely want this to those that do choose to watch. So guys, have a great one. I'll see you on the next one. I love you. God loves you even more. And hang in there.